Alright, welcome back guys. So this is where we left off last. I'm just going to pick right back up where I want to go next. So I'm going to select the empty for this can here, and I also wanted to rotate as it's zooming out. So I'm going to come over to the Z rotation. If you don't see this, again, it's this little orange square. And for the one on the left, I'm going to do, I believe it's negative 360. And make sure you're in the frame 72. So, okay, cool. It is spinning. Awesome. Now I'm going to select this empty for the one on the right. Make sure I'm on frame 72, and then the Z, I'm going to do positive 360. So I'm going to play that back one more time. Awesome. All right. Okay, y'all. So this next step is a little optional. It's too symmetrical for me, so I'm just going to rotate these out a little bit more. So I'm going to hit RZ, maybe something like that. Click on this one. Make sure you're on frame 72 for both of them. R and then Z. Rotate this one out this way. Okay. All right, again, that part was optional. All right, so the next step is what I like to call adding that razzle dazzle to your animation. Right now, everything's very linear, and you guys haven't heard of this term, but in animation, there's what we call an ease in and an ease out. And it basically makes things a little bit more interesting to look at. So to bring that up, you can click on this little icon here on your timeline, and you're going to look for, graph editor. Now it's going to look extremely scary at first, but let's go ahead and let's start with selecting the camera, and then I'm just going to use the outliner, holding shift to select all of the cans over here, or their empties. And so I won't confuse you all. Let me see if I can zoom out. There we go. So using my scroll wheel. This is basically showing you how fast or how slow something's going to be going. And what we want to do is change this over to this box right here, individual centers. Okay, to view this easier, I'm going to hit the period key on my number pad. There we go. So this is what I was looking for here. Now I can click on individual centers there. Right, so you can see the curve's not really obvious here, but we're going to hit S to scale. And you could either scale it in, and that makes the curve less obvious here, so I want to scale it this way so it makes it more obvious. So this you're just going to have to play around with. It's kind of what I have to do. I'm going to go back to my timeline to see what that looks like. Oops. Okay. I'm going to do it even more extreme to see what that looks like. And I'm going to hit spacebar on my keyboard to play it. That's a little too much for me, so okay. So I'm going based off of these curves right here. Take this back. All right, that looks a little bit more dynamic, if you will. I'm not going to bore you guys with how the graph editor works with this. Just hit the S key to scale in or scale out this curve right here. Make sure that you're in the individual center so it's not scaling everything's like actual size. And once you're happy with it, we're going to go ahead and do another save. I'm actually going to pause this now. All right, so once you're happy with the ease in and ease out of your animation, I'm going to come back to my timeline here, and I'm going to kind of play around with the camera settings. I'm going to hit camera, come to this camera icon here, and I'm going to turn on depth of field again, and I'm basically going to play around with the f-stop. So in aperture, the f-stop is basically how clear something's going to show up depending on its distance. So we do something like 1, you'll notice everything's kind of blurry. So up to you how much you want to change your f-stop to. I'm going to do something like 10, maybe 12 to see how that looks. Take it down to the beginning over here. Okay, so it's still clear. All right. Okay, so again, feel free to play with this setting right here, or any if you'd like, but just make sure you remember what the defaults are. All right, so once you have all that set up to your liking, you can do depth of field here. Well, I just did the focus of object and selected this Red Bull can here and changed the f-stop. But anyways, if everything looks in focus for yours, don't worry about anything else. So we're almost done with scene 1, and I have this idea for the next shot, and I do want it to be like a certain transition. So I'm going to increase this to about 120. That doesn't mean I'm going to use all of this. This just gives me some wiggle room. But I'm going to select the camera. Cool, it is selected. And let me see. Okay, so I'm going to go to about frame, say 85 for now. And I'm going to hit G and then Y to bring out the camera a little bit more. And I'm actually going to rotate it. Let me see if it's the Y. R, Y. Okay. I want it rotated this way. Something like that. Okay. Okay, and I'm actually going to play that back to see what that looks like. Okay, so I can bring this to 85. This part is optional. You might come back and realize that you might actually need it, or you don't like it at all, so you can cut that frame out if you wish. But I know my scene 2 is going to require some rolling of the can, so it's a good transition. Alright, so once that is done, I'm going to do Files, Save As. Oops, I forgot to change this. So this is scene 1 completed. And I'm going to stop this video here so we can move on to scene 2.